Hello, hello, hello. Hey, hey, hey. Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing? I am trying to get my brain back. Jess looked like they were falling into the deep abyss.
Yeah, Jess, you know what? Jess is falling off the frame. It's time for her to go to sleep.
Yeah. So, I'm just going in and putting in the remaining tabby bits. There we go. There we go. Perfect. Sleeve. Alrighty. Oh, don't forget to make friends with the like button. Aussie Gal is gonna make dinner and then continue Sunrise on the Reaping. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I shall away to sleepy bye land now. Fare thee well. Restful dreams. Oh, hi.
Hello. How are you?
Good. Hello, hello. I'm just yeah, I've been reading physically for the first time in a month of Sundays, and I'm like, I don't know how to do this.
I did that actually at the beginning of this year because I've been rereading books so I can actually like annotate them, my physical copies. And when I tell you, it took me 2.5 months to read Pucking Sweet physically. And I'm now working on month 2 of reading Hooked by Emily McIntyre. And Hooked is not even a long book. And I've already read it twice. So, like, I know what's happening. I'm just here to annotate. But I pick it up, I read like one chapter, and I'm like, well, that's enough. Time to go back to my Kindle now.
Yeah.
Time to go find an audiobook.
I'm like impressed. I've done this today. It's a very easy read, but I'm also just like, I'm not staring at my phone. What is this?
Right. Our brains just, I feel that our brains just eventually forget how to like physically read when we've been doing like, and by that I mean like off of a piece of paper when we've been reading like on Kindle or audiobook. Cause I prefer to read on my Kindle if I'm going to read physically.
Yeah.
But then I pick up a paper book and I'm like, what are words?
Who dis? We don't know her.
I can't adjust the size of the font. What kind of weird, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what gets me is like every book has a different font and different font size. But I go to my
Kindle. This one has
Kindle.
different fonts in it.
This is what I'm saying. Like, but I go to my Kindle and they're all, the same. Unless you have something that's like supposed to be handwritten or something like that, of course. But like for the most part, like what I'm reading in text is all the same.
Yeah. That game sounds familiar. Is it Hello Kitty? What? Can you hear the background?
Yeah, there's like music or something in the background.
Oh, that's just an ASMR room that I had going, and I didn't think the mic was that good to pick it up.
Like it just sounds like you're in fairyland or something.
Yeah, I have no idea what it is. Thank you, Bubba. Ash just turned it off for me. He's like creeping over, and now he's like, "Oh, just back away." Thank you. Yeah, sorry, it was just a random ASMR room, so I have no idea what it was. I'll do dinner for the cat too. She's sleeping right now, so she won't interrupt my reading if it's already in the bowl. Nice, very good. And now I want some coffee. What time are we looking? Is it coffee amenable hour for people, or is it not coffee?
For me, it's 2:05 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, will I drink a coffee? Probably if I decide not to take a nap.
That's fair. That's fair.
But if I choose to take, but if I'm like, you know what, I'm going to take, like, I'll think about it because I'm going to eat something and then I'll be like, do I need a coffee or do I need a nap?
Very valid. See, it's 6:00 my time in the evening, so I'm having a cup of tea. But I also can't drink coffee because I gave myself an intolerance throughout uni. It's really not depressing at all. Sabrina, I'm hoping to finish Rebel Witch. Ooh, I hope you have a glorious time. Hello. Hi. And good night, Jess. I feel you with the shock of reading today. I got 145 pages read in my book today, and I'm surprised I read this much. Yay! Oh, so happy for you. I love when, like, you just get in the zone, though. And I am very keen for this month to be over. That's the red stack. I'm not human at the moment. I'm just, nope. No, she doesn't exist anymore. So, yay. So how are you gonna, like, figure out something to eat or drink or read or nap?
Yes, I'm going to make some food in this first sprint and eat it. Will I read? That's a great question. Your guess is as good as mine. So I will or I won't. I don't know. I did read, like, earlier in the day because my reading at this point is very, like, regimented. Like, I read during the daytime and then not a ton at nighttime. So, like, I knew that going into this that I may not read a ton until, like, tomorrow. But I might pick up my Kindle and read. I have Quicksilver. I have Painted Devils that I can listen to the audiobook for. I could just throw everything else out the window and read the book that comes after Break the Girl, because that book I thought was an interconnected standalone, and in fact it's not.
Oh.
It's like a series. But the first book leaves you on a cliffhanger.
Oh dear.
Like a huge cliffhanger. Like, to the point where I ended this book and I was like, well, I'm going to give it 5 stars, but, like, also, what the hell was that ending?
Yeah.
So I might just throw caution to the wind and just pick up the next book in that series so I can at least know what happened at the end of this book.
I like the sound of that. I'm always a bad deterrent from the TBR.
But I may also just choose to continue watching YouTube. So, I mean, really, you know,
it's anybody's guess.
It could be anything at this point. Who knows? It's 2:00 in the morning. You know what I mean? I don't make great decisions at 2:00 in the morning, so.
But I'm like, do I channel my inner Amy and get out, like, a wheel to do sprint times? Or do I just select? I could do that. I might, if you're going to make food, I might start the shortest one being a 30. Where are my wheels? Why are they all gone? I need those. Rude. Does your phone ever just, like, clear off all the apps? Like, not delete them, but just...
Yeah, it, like, do you have an iPhone?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's, like, a setting that you have to turn off, and I always forget to turn it off. But there's a setting that you can turn off so that it won't offload your apps. So, like, there are, I think it's defaulted to for like if you don't use an app within like so many days. So like say like you don't use an app for 30 days or whatever. So like it's not an app that you use like all the time, then it will offload the app. So it doesn't like delete it or like remove any of your data, but it just kind of like puts the app to sleep to free up space.
Okay.
But yes, it does. The iPhone does do that. So I'm guessing they did it because people were complaining about like not having enough space on their phone or something.
Right.
I'll notice it like especially with games because sometimes I go a long time. You know, I get hyperfixations, and so then I play
100%.
like 6 games for like a month, and then I move on to something else. And I'll go back in, and like a game that I knew I had downloaded will be offloaded, and I'll be like, "Oh, I just took too long to go back to that game." I guess
use that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't even want to look at what my. I'm glad that you can only do like screen time for a week.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My screen, because here's the thing also, when I do like the videos where it's like switching screen time for reading time, I caveat it by saying that I only am going to be counting any screen time that says I was on social media. So like when I show it to my camera, that's what I do, because entertainment, so like any streaming apps, so like Audible, like any like audiobook listener, any like book app, like if you open up like the Kindle app or Apple Books or whatever, or anything that's like a streaming app. So if you are like me and you just play YouTube on your phone while you're doing other things, it counts that as like screen time.
Yeah.
So I looked one day to see what the different categories were, because like YouTube and like any streaming services like music fall under entertainment.
Yeah.
So what I do because people are like, "Oh, I have like 15 hours or whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, I have like 20 plus hours usually on my screen time app." So what I do is I personally, like for my own personal goals, but also for like challenge videos, I only focus on what I spend on social media. Because my social media doesn't usually exceed like 6 hours, which 6 hours is still really long. Okay, I should not be scrolling on Instagram Reels for 6 hours, but that way, because otherwise, like when I do a swapping screen time for reading time, I'd be doing like a 15-hour screen time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do this
a lot of this
in those videos that like, hey, I'm only counting social media because I am a person who just listens to like a comfort show while I'm working or doing other things. But my phone has to be unlocked for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, that's cool. I just stumbled into its own little category. So I'm like, well, that's less traumatizing than.
Yeah. So, I mean, at least, so like I just did a vlog that will go up. It'll go up next week. But I just did a swapping screen time vlog where I read books that I had picked for Realmathon. And there was a day that I had like less than 2 hours. I had like an hour and a half. But it's because I only used the social media.
Yeah.
I used if I had used entertainment, my entertainment is always at like 12 hours. But it's just because I would just play people's YouTube videos in the background.
Yeah. That's the same with me. And I'm like, oh, that hurts to look at. But that makes sense.
But the screen time is literally so bad because I have the little widget on my phone, like, and it's always like 15 hours. And I'm like, whatever.
Me. Go make someone else sad. I'm just doing what I need to do to get through life.
My weeks are always like 12-hour average, 15-hour average. And I'm just like, that's crazy. But like, it's also just because it counts any time that your screen. Yeah. Because somebody said that they did one. I saw somebody that did one where they read 1 minute for every time they picked up their phone.
Yeah.
I don't even want to look at the number of times I pick up my phone during the day. Because sometimes I just pick up my phone and then forget what I was going to do on it and I set it back down. But I'm sure I pick up my phone hundreds of times a day. Paige is like, I'm never picking my phone up again.
Apparently, my daily average is 66, which isn't bad. It's just a new fact of information that I did not have.
I'm trying to see like what it was for. Okay, so what the hell? Hold on. My phone's being real wacky. Yeah, like my average screen time for last month or for last week was 14 hours and 4 minutes. But most of that was like a lot of that was like, yeah, 70 pickups. Like, what do you mean?
Last week.
But 48 hours? 48 hours of that was entertainment, which is, that means that was all like streaming stuff. You know? I mean, my social needs to go down because that social is ridiculous, but for a week, like, it's crazy. But like 43 hours of it was watching YouTube. And I don't usually even watch YouTube. It just plays in the background.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been doing this screw sort puzzle game that I fell down a rabbit hole for, and I did 18 hours of that last week and 11 hours of Zen Color. And that's me trying to get through audiobooks with the massive TBR that I had.
Well,
so
see, and then okay, so it says that I also played 43 hours of Merge In, which that's like a little merge like restaurant game.
Yeah.
I probably did because I play that game while I listen to audiobooks.
Yeah, so that's exactly the same for me.
So if I'm just sitting there and I don't feel like taking my iPad out to like color or to play like I honestly I don't even want to look at the amount of game time I've put in on my iPad because I have all of like I have like Wildflowers on there. I have Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Like I have all of those, and I've put in hours on those games.
Too funny. The fact that it's raining and miserable today probably made it easier to do reading because I didn't want to leave the house. Yes, that was the same for me. I left to go do groceries and then I came back. And Sabrina felt the same because it snowed again yesterday and all they wanted to do was stay in and read, which is very nice. It's a good time. Well, I might spin our little wheel and see what our first sprint's going to be. I've done from 30 minutes to 65.
Okay.
Do you have a preference? I can always hide slices.
No. I don't really have a preference.
Okay. Let's see how uncle I am. Hey, I did it first go. Oh, okay. It's just 35 minutes for this one. That sounds good. For those that are new to my channel, I used to be a teacher, and so I use these silly little timers, and you get to vote on which one you think is going to win. So
you know what's so funny? Okay, so you're the first person I had ever seen use these timers, right?
Yeah.
But now I've seen so many people that I watch on YouTube that use those timers, but they do it for like reading challenges. So they'll like post like a prompt to whichever one it is, or they'll say like, okay, I have these
Ah,
and then whichever one wins is the book that they read for that vlog.
that's so interesting. I
Yeah.
haven't seen anyone use it in a vlog. I'd love that.
I'll
That's
send
amazing.
you the person that I see do it the most often. I'll send you one of her videos.
Sounds good. Oh, excellent. So yeah, feel free to vote on which duck you think is gonna win. I just like ducks. Oh, too funny. Oh, I'm excited. I like finding new channels and new like challenges and this like. I apologize for the ads. That I have no control over. Glenda's going at number 2. I'm gonna go Mr. Viking because I like funny hats. Okie dokie. Well, feel free to leave the votes and off we go. See you in 35. Have fun eating. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, hey there.
Hello.
Hey. Funny hat one. We had 4, 3. Good night. I'm assuming you've already gone, but sleep well. 2, 2. Tracy's reading Persepolis and joined late and read 12 pages. Didn't get any reading done. My kid woke up, so I spent some time with them. Oh, that's lovely. And I got a cookie, took a shower, and just joined. Very nice. I made my dinner, but I didn't get to eat it. How'd you go?
I read and then ate, and I'm probably going to take a nap in the next sprint, if I'm honest. So
That's completely fair. That sounds like a good way to spend a sprint. Had dinner, fed the cat, and got up to page 167 in my book. Very nice. I read a whopping total. No, I actually read a little bit more than I thought I did. I read 13 pages in between cooking dinner. Like I said, it's a very easy read to get through. Oh, yeah. I'm like mad dashing to get back before, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I fucked up my timings, but it's okay. We'll get there. We'll get there. I'm reading the Interrogation of Ashala Wolf by Amberlyn Qualamina, who is a First Nations Australian author, and is really good. So, Mel from a book named Mel is doing Roll of Reads this month, and I got First Nations author, so picked one of her favorites, and I see why it's one of her favorites. It's just really interesting. It's very divergent Hunger Games feeling, and I'm really enjoying that nostalgic feeling because everyone's reading Sunrise of the Reaping, and I'm just like,
I have the audio for this because I pre-ordered the audiobook. And my little brother asked if he could read it first, which I was like, yeah, that's fine, because I'm not even going to read it until April, because I'm going to do like a reread of the rest of the books first. I'm literally terrified to read this book. The amount of people I've seen on the internet crying reading this book. And then he came home from school today and he was like, yeah, we had some like study time today in science class, so I was able to like listen to some book. And he's like, the fact that I was sitting in class trying not to cry. He's a 16-year-old boy. He he doesn't cry usually from books. I'm screwed. I cry at everything.
So my grandpa came over for morning tea this morning, and then he left, and I was like, do you want an umbrella? And he's like, no, it's fine. And I started crying watching him walk to his car in the rain.
This is what I'm saying. Like, I am like the queen. This happened to me with the second Magnolia Parks book. Brittany was like, don't finish this on my sprints. And I was like, oh, it'll be fine. I'll be fine to finish it on sprints. I was not. I was crying at the end. Like, there is a sprint on Brittany's channel somewhere from a few months ago. I'm crying on the sprint. And she was like, are you well? Like, are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm devastated. I don't know how I'm supposed to vlog Sunrise on the Reaping It's just going to be me crying on the internet for an hour.
With great entertainment value for your audience.
Like, if this book makes him want to cry, I'm screwed. Like, I'm going to be crying from page 1.
Yep.
It's fine.
Everything's fine.
I was like going back and forth about whether I should get the ebook, and then I was like, it's probably just better for me to listen to the audio, because then I don't have to worry about like not being able to see the words through my tears.
That's a valid criticism. I really should have factored that into some of my reads at some points in my life.
At least I can just listen to the devastation happen as I cry.
And then you can close your eyes while you're crying.
And it's fine.
Everything's fine. Oh, dearie. See, I want to now read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I know that from what I've heard, like, it helps if you read it. You obviously don't have to, but I'm like, oh, now I feel like I should pick it up before reading.
You don't have to, but I suggest people that they do. Now, I'm an outlier, Paige. I'm one of the people that loved Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, and there are a lot of people that did not like this book. Like, most of the criticism I saw, and I was not on BookTube yet when I read this book, but like I was like a lurker of BookTube, right? Because it came out in like 2020, and so I was like, what else did I have to do during the day other than watch YouTube? So that's how I found BookTube again, because I'd been on BookTube before, like as a lurker, and then I kind of like fell off of BookTube for like PlannerTube, and then I found my way back during 2020, and a lot of people were talking about it was that one and then Midnight Sun, right? Like Edward's version of Twilight. Those were like the 2 books that were talked about the most. And so I was like, well, let me pick up Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I bet you I love it. I give it 5 stars, like Chef's Kiss. I've reread it since then, and I really like that book. I mean, I don't like snow. Okay. Don't twist it. Don't twist it. I do not like snow. However, I liked that book. And here's what I'm going to say. I would suggest that you read it. And from what I've heard from people that have now read Sunrise on the Reaping, apparently having the background that you get in Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes will help you with this book. I don't know. I already read it. But I will say that a lot of people were giving it like 2-3 stars. I ate it up. Okay, and left no crumbs, and I give it 5 stars. But I know a lot of people were like, what do you mean? Like, I talked to Brittany about it, and she was like, you're kidding me, right? And I was like, no, I gave this book 5 stars. And I don't like President Snow. Like, it's not like I read this book and was like, oh, I feel so badly for him. Like, blah, blah, blah. No, he's a terrible person. I hate him with every fiber of my being. I can say that, like, I have more of an understanding for his background now, and like for how he became who he is. Like, he wasn't just like born the way that we see him in the original trilogy, but like that doesn't excuse the terrible behavior. You know, like it doesn't. I loved it, honestly, but I understand why people didn't like it. And I think a lot of people didn't like it because they didn't care to know Snow's background. But I feel like it's important because he is part of the 10th Hunger Games.
Right.
And he has like a very integral part in why the Hunger Games became what it was. So
I'll read it. I'll get there. And then I'll be like, God damn it, why did I sit on this for 5 years? Because I really love the original series. Like,
right. The original series stands up so well, like, to the test of time. I actually, for my birthday, I got the like illustrated version of the first book, because that's the only one they have out. And I'm praying that they do all the rest of the books, at least the original 3. in the illustrated version because it's really pretty. So like when I do my reread, I think I'm gonna read my illustrated version just because it is very like it's illustrated. So like it's not like pictures on every page, but there are enough pictures to like add to the story.
See, that's the good thing about wearing glasses, though. So I don't have to worry about getting teardrops on the illustrated versions because I'm sure that those illustrations are going to sucker punch me in the gut.
Right. Yeah. And I've kind of flipped through them because like I'm not going to ruin anything for myself. I've already read it. And like there definitely are illustrations in there that I'm like, okay, cool. So this is going to be me crying. Yeah. Thank God for glasses. At least the tears hit the lenses and not the page.
Yeah. Yes. Good night. Thank you for joining. Hope you rest well. Yeah, I'm probably going to end up reading both. And I'm okay with that. But it's just, it wasn't on the radar to be doing. And now I'm like, oh, it's now on the radar to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with this. I don't feel like there's ever any. And I feel like there were people that reviewed this book that were like, I just feel like Suzanne Collins wanted us to have sympathy for Snow. And I don't agree with that. I don't think that she wanted us to have sympathy for Snow. I think she just wanted us to be able to understand like why the Hunger Games became what they were and how he played a part in it. Because there are things that are said to him and about him that allude to the fact that he had a much bigger hand in the Hunger Games than is kind of like let on in the original trilogy. And so I think having that information is good, but I didn't read this book and was like, oh, I'm supposed to feel bad for him. Because I also feel like you can have empathy about someone's circumstances without actually having sympathy for them. And so while I felt empathy for Snow at certain points, I never felt like sympathetic. Like I was never like, oh, you poor creature. Truthfully, most of the book I was like, you are actually a piece of crap. But like, it's fine.
That's the way to do it. See, that's what I really like about villain origin stories is when they actually just talk about it. It's just their origin story. It's not excusing it. It's not justifying it. It's just showing how they came to be as fucked up as they are.
And honestly, I think that's why, like, this is a movie, but I think that's also why I liked the movie Cruella, the Disney movie. People went into that movie thinking that we were gonna like feel bad for Cruella de Vil. I didn't feel bad for her. Now I did feel bad for the child part of her because like we do get like her as a child, and like I always am gonna feel bad for children because children are innocents. But like once she became an adult, I was like, okay, but you could have changed your story, bro. I mean, she's a great villain, but I also feel like I think sometimes we think that when we get a villain origin story, that means that we have to find the good in the villain. And I feel like villains are villains because they are evil. I don't need to find the good in them. They can just be an awesome villain. Like they can just be a really good villain, and that's fine. Because like I feel like that's what they did like with like Maleficent, right? When they did like the Angelina Jolie movies. I love those movies, but I was kind of like, okay, but why? Like, I don't need to find the good in her. Like, I know that Maleficent was supposed to be like a women empowerment story, whatever, because that's what Disney keeps doing, which is fine. Like, we love, women that don't need a man. But like, if that's what you choose. Like, I mean, I don't care if you do need a man, that's fine too. But like, represent everybody. You know what I'm saying? That's fine. But I felt like when I watched the Maleficent movies, I was like, okay, but Maleficent is just a good villain. Like, yes, I can feel bad for the awful, like, I feel sad for her for the awful things that happened to her that shaped her into who she is. But sometimes the villain is just the villain. And I feel like Snow is one of those villains where he's just a villain. And he doesn't need to be any more or less than that. He can just be the villain.
This now has me very much questioning how I'm going to find it. Because, like...
You have to tell me. When you do read it,
yeah,
send me a message.
I will.
Because I actually love discussing this book even with people that did not like it, because I think that everyone that I've heard really like critique it and say like why they did or didn't like it have very valid points, one way or the other. You know? But also, like, I feel like if you like a villain origin story, you will like this book.
Yeah.
If you
go in expecting it.
Yeah, like, if you're not a person who enjoys, because there are people that are like, I just prefer they're just the villain. Like, I don't need to know their background. If you're one of those people where like it's the psychology of the villain that I'm interested in. If you're not interested in that part, then I don't know that you would like this book, because it very much is like a character study of Snow, but he's just Snow. Like, she's not making him into like a better person in this book, and then is like, just kidding, he grows up to be a tyrant. Like, he was a tyrant before he was an adult.
Interesting. Well, I will keep you updated. Poor Margaret's had to deal with me just randomly commenting, I now understand the horse emoji on the Little Thieves videos.
Oh yeah, she was yelling at me earlier because I was like, oh, I haven't read Painted Devils, but I've read Little Thieves 3 times. And she was like, Neva, listen, I am the chronic starter of series, and then I don't want them to end, so I just don't move on. Like, Legendborn is now 3 books deep. Do you know how many of them I've read? The first one 4 times. I own all of them. But I've not read the second book. And you want to know why? It's because while I want to read Bloodmarked, and I'm even like going into it with like a very open mind, because I know a lot of people didn't like Bloodmarked, but I'm still going into it with like a very open mind. I'm just like, okay, but then I have to read, but once I read the second one, I have to read the third one. And then once I read the third one, I think we're might be getting one more, but I'm like, but once like the series is over, it's over. Like, there's nothing else to read. And then I'm gonna be sad. Which is why I'm in the middle of 100 series at this point, like literally 100 series or around that, is because I start all of these series and I never finish them because I don't want to leave the world in which they're in.
You know, you can reread the first one once you've read the rest in the series.
I know, but it's you know, like the experience of reading them for the first time.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, and then I'm like,
there's no coming back from that.
Like, once I finish it, I can't reread it for the first time. It took me almost a full year to read Ruthless Vows. Because I read Divine Rivals, and then it took me almost a full year to finish that duology, because I was like, well, once this is over, there's nothing else. But now I think we're getting a third book. So I'm like, well, at least now it's like a trilogy. I think somewhere I heard that we were getting, like, it's actually going to be a trilogy, which Rebecca Ross does only really write standalones, duologies and trilogies. She doesn't write sagas. So I knew that, like, going into this, but I think I heard that we were getting a third book. I could be wrong. But even if we're not, like, the second one does end on a note that is like that I was like satisfied with. But like, if we got a third book, I would read it because it was good. But as soon as it was over, I was like, well, the world is done. The world is ended. And then I was in a book hangover for like 2 weeks, and then I read a dark romance, and everything was right in the world.
That's the way to do it. I've started and finished
2 duologies this year. Well, technically I've started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 duologies, and I finished 2 of them.
Listen, I've started like 19 series and I'm caught up on 3. So they're not even done series. Okay. These are just series that I've caught up on. And I have read all that I can read for now.
For now.
The rest of them are just laying in wait.
One of these days.
One day.
After we get rereading the first book another 50 times.
Right. After I reread the first book 100 times, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I should move on to the second one.
Yeah.
Now that I have the first one memorized, it's fine.
I'm usually terrified that what if it's a series I love and then the ending is bullshit. I just get mad and unfollow.
There's that too.
Yeah.
There's that.
I'm still gutted over the Malice duology by Heather Walter. I adored Malice with every fiber of my being, and Misrule just let me down, and I was like, I can't even say it's a favorite book anymore.
Yeah, see, so here, you know how I get around this? This happened to me
with the second books.
So this happened to me with Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Loved the first 2 books, and then the third book, I DNF'd it. So here's the thing. I own them all. They all live on my shelf as a completed series, but when I do choose to revisit them, I only revisit them as a duology. I just don't read the third book. I just pretend it does not exist.
That's completely valid. I wish I could erase the third one from my brain.
Because I'm just like, you know what? Who even needs this? Because honestly, I DNF'd the third book of Good Girl's Guide to Murder at like 24 pages in. And I actually remember exactly where I was when I DNF'd it. I was waiting for Ari at the bus stop. And I was so mad because like I had taken the book with me to the bus stop. And I knew that if I tried to walk back to my house to get a different book, the bus would come before I could make it back down to the bus stop. So I just had to stand there for 15 minutes with no book. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, well,
I got to the end and I was just like, the fuck was that?
See, and Brittany liked the third book.
I did not.
And I was like, you know,
I think there's a book star ran on Danielle's channel that's like me just like tearing it to shreds.
Listen, I got 24 pages in and I felt like all of Pip's like character development had been undone. And I was like, what? I'm done. No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. No. You're not doing this to me, Holly Jackson. Although I have everything else by her I've read, I've liked. So there's at least that. But like, I was just like, I know you're not about to undo a whole character before my eyes in the third book, ma'am.
It continues. It doesn't get better. There's no redemption. You made the right choice.
No one has time for that.
No time. No time. Hey, had a stupidly manic day at work today, so I'm a blanket burrito with a hot water bottle and a cup of tea. Sending some hugs to Burrito. I hope this wraps around the burrito. Can't read in this state, but may put something on just to say I'm reading something. Yeah, just you recover from your day, decompress. Just do what you got to do. It's all good. Do you have many reads you need to get done by the end of the month? That's the only other thing. It's like, do you actually have to read today? If not, all good.
Me personally, I've scrapped my March TBR. I was like, I read 2 out of 6 books that I was supposed to read on the TBR. I mean, I read more books than that. They just weren't TBR books. They were just random ass books that I like picked up to read during Ramadan. So I was like, you know what? We'll start over next month. It's really fine because I'm not doing any punishments for myself this year with my TBR game. I'm just rewarding myself. So I get $1 for every book that I finish that I read on my TBR, and I get $5 for every series that I complete throughout the year.
How's that working out for you?
So far, I've made like $11, and I finished.
That's not too bad.
I finished none series because like a caught up series does not count. It has to be like a completed series. Now it will count if like say I'm reading a series and I choose to DNF that series, then for me it's done. So I can say, okay, well, you get $5 for that.
Gotcha.
But like just a caught up series, I'm like, no, because like you still have books to read. They just haven't been like published. I mean, if I was reading something like Throne of Glass that's never going to ever finish, then I would be like, you know what? I'm caught up. $5 for just because.
It's like if you've made a decent effort, like you've read 6 out of the 8 books that are currently released, and there's not another one due for 2025. You're good.
Yeah,
You're good.
I'm counting it. But a lot of these series are like backlist series that I've just been sitting on for God knows how long. That I'm like, you know, someday I'll finish these.
One of these days. I went through my Goodreads and I think I got up to 2021 and gave up. I think it was 2017 to 2021. And I went through and had a look at any that had extra books released, or like they were the standalones at the time and now they're not, and added extras. And I think I added like 12 extra series. I just put them in my DNF pile because I'm like, I can't even. But I gave up because I was like, I could not be fucked going through 2022 to 2025. Like, no.
So I'm going to do a thing on my channel where I reread like favorite series from my youth. So I have a list of like the books that I want to read, and they can be like any time period that I have read in. So they can be anything from like when I first started reading to like high school is kind of what I'm looking at as like my youth, right? And I was looking through some of these series. Some of these series have added books to them. So at the time that I was reading like the Pretty Little Liars series, there were only 8 books. Now there's like 20.
Oh dear.
Or 16 or some shit like that. And I was like, I'm not rereading these because I only read the first 8 because when that series was being written, we were only getting 8 books. And then she added like more books onto it, which like is fine, but I'm not reading that shit. Absolutely not.
Yeah. It's like
I have the 8 that I've already read.
Hunger Games. Yeah.
But like the Hunger Games, that is a series that I'm going to use for this. But like that one, I'm like, okay, but I'll read any installment that comes out for Hunger Games. So like, I don't mind doing that. But like, if it's a book series that I'm like, oh, I should revisit this just because I can. Like, I don't know if anybody remembers like the vampire series. Like the first book was called Thirst. They were like white books.
That unlocked a core memory for me.
Listen to me. When I was reading that series like in high school, right? I think there were only like 2 or 3 books out, and now I think there are more than that.
Dear God.
I'm about to look. But I feel like when I looked this series up, there were more than like what I remembered being. There were like 5 books or something. Oh, they're on Kindle Unlimited. That's helpful. Yeah, there's 5 books, but I only remember reading the first 4. I don't even know what this 5th one is, but you know what? I'm going to read it, especially because it's on Kindle Unlimited. I'm sure that they're not well written. I just feel that like nothing I read back then was well written. You know what I mean?
I read the Beautiful Dead series by Ada McGuire, and I was so mad because I loved the first one, and I paid a not ridiculous amount of money, but more money than I probably should have spent on the last 2 books in the series because there's no audiobooks for them, and it was a very big disappointment. And I'm like, fuck, I've just spent $40 on these 2 books for myself
Yeah.
to not be happy.
I just
Bastard.
also think it's so funny that the Thirst books are on KU because, like, I remember when I
That
bought
is-
them, my opa bought them for me when I was in like middle school or high school or whatever, right? And I remember like seeing them, and they just looked like such big books because they're like about this size,
Oh.
but they were like they're like all white, and they had like a girl on the front, you know what I'm saying? And I just remember like feeling so grown up. I was like 14, right? And I was like, I got my big girl book, like whatever. And like now I'm like, this is a YA book, first of all. So like, you know, the font is humongous.
Yeah.
It's only 500 pages because the font is so large. But you know, back and like now I'm like, okay, yeah, like a big book to me is like 600 pages, but I read a lot of fantasy. Back then,
Yeah.
like a 500 page YA book, I was like, oh yeah, look at me. I can read big, large books. Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like I'm going to devour these books. Like, I'm going to read a book every 2 days. And in high school, it probably would have taken me like a week.
Yeah. We grow so much,
We really do.
and then we go back to it. It's the first night this year I'm wearing long pajamas. I put mine on 2 days ago. I decided it was cold enough to not wear my booty shorts because I was freezing. My ADHD side makes it hard for me to continue them as it is, and the one time I commit to finishing one, it's a bullshit ending, so I avoid them out of fear. That's completely valid. Yep. I think I've gotten better over the years at finding a balance, but I'm still just like, so many shiny things. The older these get, the less shiny they are.
Right.
Oh dear God. But I'm nearly there with my 2017. I've got one series left I have to read. That's Aristotle and Dante. And I'm like, do I just DNF that? And then I've got 3 left from 2018. And then we don't talk about 2023. We ignore those. we don't talk about those and how many series are still left. Lowell may read The Beats. It's the last book in a quickie, so I'm going to do it on Monday. Perfect. Then you have a lovely night tonight just decompressing. Excited for my April TBR with like 3 children's books. Thanks to Meredith for some of the prompts in Bookymon. That's so lovely. Like just, I'm so excited for my April TBR. Also because it's not a stack as tall as I am. So I like the fact that it's on the smaller side.
To be honest, I had to pick a banned book for my TBR will go up this weekend, but I had to pick a banned book as one of my, because that was one of the prompts on my TBR game. So I picked Charlotte's Web because I was like, hey Ari, do you have Charlotte's Web downstairs? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, can I borrow it? And she's like, what are you going to do with it? And I was like, I'm going to read it. He's like,
I for Florida.
Like I literally typed into Google and I was like, was Charlotte's Web a banned book? Because I had like remembered it being a banned book for the fact that it talks about death. It's literally banned because there are talking animals. I'm not even shitting you. That's one of the reasons. So the reasons that Charlotte's Web has been banned is because there are talking animals and they talk about death. Yeah.
In a kid's book.
But Charlotte's Web has been banned. And I'm just like, okay, but they talk about death like in the context of like the circle of life. like Charlotte is explaining to Wilbur. Oh yeah, I cry at Charlotte. I've read Charlotte's Web 1,001 times. Okay. I cry every time I read it. every single time. I cry every time I watch the movie. Ari won't even watch the movie with me anymore because I cry. The other one that gets me every time that is like a book from my youth, which why we were letting children read this book, I'll never understand, but is Where the Red Fern Grows. If anyone else read this book was about a little boy who wanted coon dogs. I'm not even kidding, like hunting dogs. So he saved up his pocket money to buy these 2 hunting dogs, and it's their like the story of their adventures. And when I tell you that at the end of this book, I will not ruin this book for you in case you want to read it, because it's a great, I don't know if it's considered a classic or not, but like it's a great book. I cry every single time. I know exactly what's going to happen in this book. I read this book the first time in 6th grade. Okay. I know at 33 how this book ends. And even so, I still cry every time. But yeah, Charlotte's Web makes me cry. I'm so sorry. Like it just is what it is. Like I get to like the ending of Charlotte's Web and I'm a mess. And I've read it so many times.
Oh,
like
we didn't have that one. What did we have? I'm trying to remember. We had another one with like a dog that was involved.
Old Yeller?
No, that came up. I might try Australian children's book because I'm pretty sure. But yeah, we were not okay. I remember Ash was saying that he got assigned Bridge to Terabithia, and they were reading it aloud.
Yes, this happened to me in school too, and I was like, "Who is allowing children to read this?" And then they made it into a movie, right? So like, I watched the movie, of course, and I was like, "This is true."
Okay.
My brother came out here earlier, and he said, "The Never-Ending Story." He came out and he was like, "Who thought that this was like a cute movie for kids to watch?" And I was like, I don't know. Our parents like to traumatize us, clearly. Like, I just don't understand, like, why we were giving these books to children to read. Who wrote these and was like, this is a great, wholesome story to traumatize your children with? Like, no. Because Bridge to Terabithia, I'm sorry, that was like trauma for trauma's sake. And I feel like parents back in the day, they did not like vet all the things that their kids were reading. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, unless you had, which I did, but like, unless you had like religious parents, but even my parents who were relatively religious, they were vetting things for like sexual content. They weren't vetting things for death.
No. Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but there was one that we had and it just nope. Was not okay. But yeah, Ash took the book home and read it that night, and then was sitting up the back absolutely sobbing his eyes out because he was at the ending and they were all on like chapter 3. And he's like, why are you putting us through this?
Listen, I remember in high school they made us read The Green Mile, and I wanted to kill my English teacher. Like the Stephen King novel. Yeah. We had to read it. It was a unit because so I did take AP English. So I took advanced placement English, which is fine. But it was part of a unit. Like, we read this book and then we watched the movie. And then had to take a test on the differences between the movie and the book. And I was like, why are you making us read this? Like, pure devastation in a book. And here's the thing is we read the book. We did homework assignments on this book. We did like a project, if I remember correctly. And then she's like, okay, at the end of the unit, when we all finish the book, we're going to watch the movie. We watched the movie. And when I tell you, half of this class was like 16-year-old boys that played football. You know what I mean? They're like American football. They're like, you know, macho men, no, boys don't cry. Not a dry eye in this class when we watched that movie.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, why are we reading this? You know what I mean? I mean, I understood like why we had to read like Of Mice and Men, which that book also makes me cry. But this is how you know I just cry at everything, because I feel like most people probably don't cry at Of Mice and Men, but I do.
I did.
Like, it's devastation. Like, I don't, and I'm just like, why are you giving these books to children to read?
Yeah.
We're not even like, at 16, we're not even, like, our brains are not fully developed, and you're just giving us like trauma to read.
Yeah.
It's fine. Whatever.
Absolutely fine. Hardly cry when people die, but when animals die, I bawl like a baby. Yep. Yep. I have never read The Never Ending Story, but I have heard it will hurt my soul.
I don't actually think I've ever read the book, but I have definitely watched the movie. And honestly, I don't think I want to read the book because the movie is devastating enough.
Yeah.
I
feel like
Tracy, I was also reading Flowers in the Attic at 15, and actually we also had to read that in school. Because it was part of our classics unit. And I went to, I mean, the town that I live in is the same school district, right? So like I'm back like in my hometown, right? So I believe it's been removed from their curriculum now because my senior year, there was when we had to read it, and there were quite a few parents that like looked like they didn't know necessarily what the book was about until we had to read it. And so there were a bunch of parents that like boycotted this book and were like, this is not appropriate for children. Like, Flowers in the Attic is, I mean, I wouldn't give it to children to read at school, but that's fine. You know? I mean, I guess like incest, you know, that's a great thing to teach children about, I guess.
Yeah, sure. He's gonna kill. He'll be right. My parents were very good at vetting. I'm not mad at it.
Here's the thing. I also watched Silence of the Lambs at around 13 or 14 years old, but it's my own fault. Because I begged my dad to let me watch this movie. Begged him. Because I had friends that were like, yeah, the Hannibal Lecter movies are great, blah, blah, blah. Begged him. Plus, I was on like a big Jodie Foster kick at that time. And so I was like, I have to watch it. It has Jodie Foster in it. I have to watch it. And he was like, you cannot watch this movie. Like, you have like nightmares. I to this day, I'm scared of the dark. Okay. I'm 33. I do not like the dark. But like back then, I was a bump in the night and I was screaming. Okay. So he was like, you cannot watch this. You'll have nightmares for a month, blah, blah, blah. And I finally like wore him down to the point that he was just sick of listening to me beg to watch it. So he said, you know what? Fine. You and me, we'll watch this movie. So he made me watch it. And like, I remember halfway through it, I was like, okay, I'm good. Like, let's turn it off. And he was like, no, I begged for like 30 days to watch this freaking movie. So he's like, now you're going to watch it. And I remember I had nightmares for like 2 weeks. And finally my dad was like, okay, what is your nightmare about? And I was like, I am convinced that Hannibal Lecter is going, like, obviously not a real person, right? Like a caricature of real people, but like not an actual person. But I was convinced this man was going to break through my window and eat me. Like, I was absolutely, and I remember my dad looked at me and he was like, Hannibal Lecter only eats bad people. He's like, and you're not a bad person, so he's not going to eat you. And then the nightmares stopped. And they're honestly like one of my favorite horror franchises, to be honest, because Sir Anthony Hopkins is a wonderful actor. But like my dad has said to me since, he was like, I really shouldn't have let you watch that movie, but he was like, but also like that was just like a really bad time in parenting for me, where I was like, okay, well, she wants to do it, so I'll just let her do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool. It's fine. Like I survived, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
like that's why Ari will be like, Mom, let me watch whatever horror movie she wants to watch. And I'm just like, you can go ask your dad. If he says you can watch it, then cool. But like, I'm not, no. That's why she's seen Chucky. Ari has watched Chucky when she was 5 because she told me she wanted to watch it. And I said, no, you can't watch Chucky. And so she went to her dad and was like, Mom said that you wouldn't let me watch Chucky. And he said, if you sleep in your room with the door closed for 2 weeks, I'll let you watch it. And she did it. And so he was like, okay, well, I'm going to let her watch it. So now every day she's coming upstairs asking me, Mom, can I watch Chucky? And I was like, you don't need to watch Chucky right now, bro. Like, what do you mean? Like, why do you, like, she will watch Chucky like she watches Moana.
I could not.
I'll walk in the room, I'll be like, Ari, what are you watching? Oh, I'm just watching Chucky. She's just watching it like it's just like the Sunday matinee movie. And I'm like, what 7-year-old just opts to watch Chucky?
Yours. Apparently.
What the hell? Here's the thing. I personally, to this day, I don't like the Chucky movies, but I just think that dolls are creepy. So
I haven't watched any of them because I don't need to put myself through that.
Like, I literally think that's my problem with Chucky, because really I do like horror movies. Like, I have no like issue with horror movies. And so I think that with Chucky, it is specifically that he's a doll.
That's fair.
Because I don't like the Annabelle movies either for that same reason. Ooh, like, dolls just creep me out.
Yeah. I'm just going to quickly jump back up. Tracy's hopefully mostly mood reading through April. And then Patricia Morningwell, hope you're well. I'm reading The Space We're In by Katya Balin. Reading it to see if it's suitable to add my class library for Autism Acceptance Month in April. Oh, well, I hope it is suitable. And you have a good time reading it. And there's 2 series where they have 1 book left to go in each to be finished, but can't bring myself to do it. That is fair. I wasn't really watched much as a child because my siblings had all the attention, so I had to entertain myself. Why this was the choice, who knows? Thank you, Neve. Dolls and mannequins are terrifying.
Listen, my mom had those like the clown dolls that are like soft bodies, but they have like porcelain faces, and yeah. And when my mom passed in 2020, and when she passed away, they all got packed up because they used to sit downstairs in our house. They used to sit up on the mantle. But I remember, like, as a kid, they sat on her like armoire that was in her room. So you'd walk into her room, and the first thing you'd see was this big mirrored armoire with these creepy ass clown dolls. And apparently she got them from my great grandma, which I'm pretty sure is true because I do remember them being at her house. But at my great grandma's house, they were like in a curio cabinet in the dining room. So you'd only see them if you went in the dining room. They weren't like in a spot where you saw them all the time.
Imagine waking up to that.
Listen, there was more than once as like 5 years old that I remember going to like wake my mom up in the middle of the night, and the first thing I see are these creepy ass dolls. I cannot.
I would be like, my mama don't need to be woken up for this.
And here's the thing is, I was given like the porcelain, you know, like the pretty like display dolls like growing up and stuff, and those were fine as long as they were put on their stands and put on their shelf. Like, don't take them down, don't play with them, don't like pose them, just leave them the way they're supposed to. But my mom's freaking clown doll things, I could not. I was like, can we please like throw these away somewhere? Like, I don't know. But when she passed away, it was like the first thing that my dad packed up. Because he's like, I can't stand these. He's like, I let your mom have them out because like she loved them or whatever. He was like, but she's gone now, so they've got to go.
They can. That's fine.
Yeah, I cannot with dolls.
My best friend's mom had a glass cabinet full of porcelain dolls in their living room, so every time I go there, they're staring at me. And when I sleep over, I sleep in there. And there they are, right there. Ooh.
Yeah.
My grandma's room was full of dolls. I hated it. There. I said,
Dolls are not the vibe. I'm so sorry if anyone likes them, but like I know. Like honestly, like baby dolls, like I can deal with that. Okay. Like Ari's like old baby dolls that she has or whatever. But that's like the extent. Because now she's into like the knockoff American Girl dolls. Like Walmart and Target have like their own brand of like American Girl dolls that are, $30 instead of $300. And like those are like the extent of what I can deal with. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, those are fine, but like nothing else.
So I just remembered I had a Cabbage Patch Kid, like one of the little baby ones, and it was a miniature one. I called it Blood. I was 5. I called it Blood. What neurodivergent child calls their Cabbage Patch Kid Blood?
Listen, maybe you were just more like intuitive. You know?
Yeah. Okay. On that delightful note, should I spin for a sprint?
Sure.
Before I get so creeped
I love
out
how we all went on a
out
rant
asleep.
about dolls, honestly.
Yeah.
This
That's
is
what we
24-hour sprints, friends.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. It's doing its thing. Mm-hmm. 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 Here we go. Oh. Button. Do. Watch it be like another 30 minutes. Oh. That's not a 30-minute. That's a 65-minute.
65.
60. Well, that's going to be a nice bloody nut for you.
Right. I was about to say, yeah, I'm going to try to be back in 65 minutes. I mean, I might not be. We'll see how I feel. But I'm going to try to be back in time because that should give me enough time to shower and like lay down.
Yes.
So if I just don't turn my camera back on, then you know that I'm still sleeping.
That's fair. What am I doing with that one? Oh, okie dokie. I don't know which duck is appealing to me.
I'm going with duck 3 just because it's the only one that's not yellow.
Sounds good. I might go gladiator duck. Number 2.
He does have a cool hat.
Number 4. He does have a cool hat. So does number 4. And it has lipstick and eyelashes. Although I don't know if that's disturbing me or not.
She's a queen. She's a queen duck.
She's a queen. She's a queen. That her eyes are like, hey, I'm just going to stare into your soul.
But I will say, like, the eyelashes are a bit disturbing. Like, if she just had lipstick, I'd be like, all right, cool. But, like, the eyelashes... I don't know. I'm not sure that was like a necessary option.
Gladiator. It's slightly disturbing. Well, at least we've got it for an hour and 5 fucking minutes. love our lives. So good. Feel free to leave what you think, and we'll see you in an hour and 5.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Congrats, Aussie girl. Hi, Lynn. Today I will be reading The Way of Kings and True Biz, a YA about a disco. Lovely. I will assume that Neva is still asleep, and that's completely fine. How did you all go with your reading? I made my way through some of Dante's. I read 24 pages of Dante, and I got up to my page goal, which was 253 of Charlotte Wolf. I think that was 60 pages, so done well. Yay! Finished Rebel Witch. I'm so happy for you. How did you find it? I'm also just trying to see if I can get the link to the next sprint, because that will be happening next in an hour. So I just wanted to double check where that was at, but I can't find it. I didn't do any reading this round, had a shower, did some house things, and then it was too late to commit to reading, so I watched YouTube. Fair enough. That sounds like a plan. It was good. I gave it 4 stars. I liked the first one a bit more. Yep, fair enough. I've heard that the second one isn't as strong, but people still enjoy it. So I'm glad that that was your experience. I really want to dive into that. I had itchy fingers to buy some books today, and I didn't, but I added the ones that I've been thinking about to my wish list, like A Soul to Take, Butcher and Blackbird, Lights Out, all of those. They've just been sitting in my brain space as ones that I want to read, but I'm also I should probably get them from the library because I don't know if I'm going to enjoy them. So rather than buy them straight out of the gate, but is what it is. I'm also scared because I'm going into the second half of Sunrise on the Reaping, and I feel this half that it will make me cry, so I'm avoiding it. Oh dear. Sending many supports. Coffee in hand. It's 6 a.m. here, but just hoping to veg today and read. Very nice. I feel like I've been productive. We did the laundry and I went and did a food shop, and I made dinner, but we didn't do any house tasks that we were thinking of doing. Ash was going to mow and something else, but I'll wash the towels. But with it being so wet, it was just never mind. So we've had a very chill day, which was nice. I need to read 8 more pages of Dante tonight, and then I will be at my library goal. So, my reading goal. Yeah, I'm almost always library first, and then if I like it, I'll buy it. That's the smart choice. That's a smart thing. Hello, Julie. Just getting up to get some breakfast. See you soon. Woo, 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 woo. So exciting. I love that you're like getting up for breakfast and I'm like, it's 9 o'clock at night. I need to go take my meds. So time zones are a funny thing, but hey, Julie. If I get to 200 pages tonight, I will have 160 to read tomorrow. Not bad. Not bad. Time zones are wild. I'm just very much done with my March reading because I am currently reading book 22 and 23 out of 24. And I still have a whole other book in 2 more days. It's actually really doable. But anyway, time zones are all timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, hoobly-watsits, and thingamabobs. Mm-hmm. You've got this. You can do it. What I might do if Neva's going to be asleep and you've got 40 more pages, I might start another sprint at like 10 past. Do we do a 45er? At 10 past, that puts us at 55. Or do I do a 35er? Or 40? What do you think? 30, 40, or 45 for the last sprint? And that way we can just finish off strong and I can go take my nighttime meds because I'd like to take them before 11 o'clock at night, which was me last night. Actually, I think it was like 11:30. And I'm like, for my page roll tonight, I'm doing my 40 pages and going to sleep. Yes, you've got this. A 45 sounds good? Okay, I can do that. Let's change that to clear, 45, set. They're all boring ducks. Okay, they're good ducks. 45 is good? Okay, cool. So we'll do a 45er starting in 3 minutes. And then that way it just takes us up and finishes off nicely. Yay! I am feeling it in my throat. And I'm like, oh no, I have Bookstarer and Chaos Strats for my Patreon tomorrow. And my voice is already going. So I might go make a tea, finish my pages of Dante, and then the world's my oyster. I can watch YouTube. I can keep. I'm really invested in Ashala at the moment. So I don't know. Like, I've read that much today. I only have that much more to go. We'll see. Scratch that. The new chapter is 205 pages, so may have to round it up. I believe in you. Oh dear. You've got this. Yeah, you got this. Feel free just to mute us and do whatever you gotta do. Like, we're all chill here, as long as you're having fun and being able to just spend some time with some friends. Ma'am, how can we join your class? Haven't taught in a very long time. But with that, let's load that up. So feel free to vote for which duck you'd like. My hats have done me solid this round, so I'm going to go number 4. I'm so excited. I believe in us. Go to green duck. Number 2. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. We really like the unicorns there.
The unicorn is pretty. It's too funny. They all came in at like the exact same time. It was glorious.
Okie dokie. See you in 45 minutes. Hello, hello, hello. I'm sad the boring duck won on the last sprint. Oh. We were joined by Vanessa. They got up to 59% in the Ever King. Lynn didn't do any reading in that sprint, but had some breakfast and watched some YouTube. Very nice. I finished my pages of Dante. So I got up to page 232 of Hell, and I got up to my section of Charlotte Wolf, which was page 252, which feels good. And then I watched some YouTube. So, but I am the brain cells they're lacking currently. So yes, we'll see how it goes. Sabrina says, "Hey Vanessa." Lynn says, "Hi Vanessa." Sabrina made it 17% of a murderous relation. Why does that sound like a Veronica Speedworld? Murderous relation. Because it is. I've never read any of them, so I was quite proud of myself for just figuring out that was a Veronica Speedworld novel. Look at me go. Vanessa says, "Hey Sabrina and Lynn." Woo. So we will be going to Julie's part next. I've just put it in the comments, but it should also be in the description box of the video, which is so exciting. I probably will not be joining because my brain is already sliding out of my ears. So I might join them just while they get settled and all of that good fun stuff. But that's where we're heading. So yes, I hope that you got things done or read or relaxed and had a lovely night. And yeah, so good. I'm just double checking to make sure I've got everything all sorted. And I believe we have hit the halfway mark. Oh, shucks. I'm glad. Alrighty. Well, I will end it off here and hopefully see you over on Julie's channel in just a few moments. Thank you everyone for joining. Have a lovely night. Bye.